Imagine catching your reflection and genuinely loving what looks back at you. Brighter eyes, a softer jawline, a face that feels lifted without a single filter. That's exactly what the right haircut can do for you today. I'm walking you through 7 haircuts that instantly make you look younger, radiant, and effortlessly put together after 60. No trends required, just the right shape for your face. If you love feeling confident and radiant at any age, hit subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of thing we talk about here. Stay close, because haircut number 6 might be the most beautiful transformation on this entire list. Let's start with haircut number 1. The first haircut on our list is the one quietly rescuing more women over 60 than almost any other, and it's the chin-length bob with crown layers and a soft side bang. Here's the problem it solves. A blunt bob, cut straight across, looks polished the moment you leave the salon, but give it a few hours, and gravity takes over. The weight pulls it flat against your jaw, and suddenly, every bit of focus lands on your chin, your jawline, the exact areas you'd rather soften, not spotlight. I used to call this the collapse effect, because that's really what's happening, your whole look folding downward by lunchtime. The fix is simpler than you'd expect. Adding light layers at the crown creates what I like to call an invisible frame, lifting volume right where your face needs it most, while a soft side-swept bang draws the eye upward toward your eyes instead of down toward your chin. If you wear glasses, this cut becomes even more powerful, blending your frames into your hairstyle instead of competing with them. We've all sat in a salon chair, loved what we saw for exactly 1 hour, and watched it go flat and tired by dinner. And this is the cut that finally breaks that cycle for good. If you want this look, here's exactly what to say in the chair. I'd like a chin-length bob with light crown layers and a soft side bang. Please keep the ends airy enough to move. Simple words, dramatic difference. But if your hair leans more toward fine or thinning, the very next cut on this list was practically designed with you in mind. The second haircut on our list is the one that feels effortlessly Parisian the moment you step out of the salon, and it's the French bob with inward curved ends. Here's the problem it fixes. A standard chin-length bob often leaves the ends heavy and straight, and instead of lifting your features, that weight drags everything downward, the exact opposite of what you actually want at this stage of life. The French bob solves it with one elegant adjustment. The ends curve slightly inward, almost like they're gently hugging your jawline, and I like to call this the light reflector effect, because that subtle curve bounces light upward onto your cheekbones, your smile, your eyes, instead of letting it fall flat against your chin. The best part is how natural it feels. There's nothing stiff or helmet-like here. It moves with you, catching a little breeze as you walk, framing your face the way soft candlelight flatters a room. This cut works beautifully with silver hair too. The curve catching light in a way a straight-cut bob simply can't. We've all seen photos of ourselves where the haircut looked good, but somehow made us look harder, more serious than we felt inside. And this is the cut that finally softens that instead. If you want this look, here's exactly what to say in the chair. I'd love a chin-length bob, with the ends curved slightly inward, some light texture for movement, and a soft side part. 6 words to your stylist, and an entirely different reflection waiting for you. But if you've been quietly craving something bolder, something with real confidence to it, wait until you see what's coming next. The third haircut on our list is the one so many women rule out before ever giving it a real chance. And it's the textured Pixie with wispy edges. Here's the hesitation, and I understand it completely. A Pixie at 60 or 70 feels like a young woman's haircut. And if you've ever seen a harsh crop Pixie with zero softness, you already know why the fear is real. That version exposes every angle without mercy. And on a mature face, it can read as severe instead of striking. But a textured Pixie with wispy layers on top and feathered edges near the ears is a completely different story. Think of it as removing a heavy frame from a painting and finally seeing the artwork underneath was stunning all along. The volume concentrated at your crown lifts your entire face upward, while the wispy texture around your temples softens any angularity that's developed over the years. Your neck stays elegantly exposed instead of hidden, and honestly, that alone reads as confidence, not concession. This is the Pixie for a woman who's done shrinking herself smaller, who's ready to be seen fully. We've all been told at some point that short hair means giving something up, and this cut proves the opposite. It's not giving anything up. It's finally showing what was there the whole time. If you want this look, here's exactly what to tell your stylist. I'd like a textured pixie with wispy layers on top, feathered edges at the ears, and volume concentrated at the crown. Almost no styling time required once it's shaped right, but if short hair still feels like too big a leap today, the next cut gives you nearly the same lift without cutting an inch of length. The fourth haircut on our list is the one that brings effortless movement back into hair that started to feel flat and lifeless, and it's the soft shoulder-length shag with curtain bangs. Here's the problem so many women run into. Shoulder-length hair feels like the safe choice. Practical, easy to manage, but when it's cut blunt with one heavy line straight across, it stops looking fresh and starts looking weighed down instead. Instead of catching light and moving with you, it just sits there, and instead of making you look vibrant, it quietly does the opposite. The shag fixes this by layering the hair in a graduated way, starting higher near the cheekbones and cascading down in soft, feathered pieces. I like to call this vertical lift, because instead of one flat line pulling the eye sideways across your jaw, the layers pull the eye downward and outward in a way that actually elongates and softens your whole face. Then comes the curtain bangs, the real signature of this cut. They part naturally down the middle and sweep softly to either side, framing your eyes instead of hiding them, and unlike a heavy blunt fringe, they never feel like they're trapping your face in a box. This cut is especially kind to fine or thinning hair because the layered texture tricks the eye into seeing fullness that a single blunt length simply cannot fake. If your hair is silver or transitioning to gray, the layers catch light beautifully, giving you a natural-looking dimension without a single extra product. We've all had days where our hair felt like it was working against us instead of with us, refusing to move, refusing to catch light, refusing to feel alive, and this cut is the one that finally gives your hair permission to breathe and move the way it wants to. If this sounds like exactly what your hair has been missing, here's exactly what to tell your stylist. I'd like a shoulder-length shag with graduated layers, starting near the cheekbones and soft curtain bangs. Please keep the ends feathered, not blunt. Minimal styling, maximum movement, every single day. But if bangs have always felt like too big a risk for you, wait until you see the version coming next, because it might just change your mind completely. The fifth haircut on our list is the one so many women quietly avoid out of fear, and it's side-swept bangs with long layers. Here's the hesitation, and it's a fair one. Bangs after 60 feel like a risk nobody wants to take, because a bad fringe can take months to grow out, and in the meantime you're pinning it back awkwardly, wondering why you ever agreed to it. But side-swept bangs are nothing like that blunt, shelf-like fringe sitting flat across your forehead. They're a soft diagonal sweep that starts shorter on one side and gradually lengthens into face-framing layers around your cheeks. And I like to call this the diagonal lift, because instead of cutting a hard line across your forehead, it draws the eye upward on a gentle angle toward your crown, creating instant lift without ever looking like a fringe at all. Here's what almost nobody says out loud. This cut is one of the best-kept secrets for softening a thinning hairline. The sweep falls naturally forward, covering areas that have started to recede at the temples, and it does it in a way that looks styled and intentional, rather than like you're hiding anything. If you wear glasses, this is where the magic really shows, because the soft diagonal line blends beautifully with your frames instead of competing against them. And the whole upper half of your face suddenly reads as cohesive instead of segmented. We've all had a moment of catching our reflection and feeling like our forehead was doing all the talking, aging us before anything else even had a chance to. And this cut is the one that finally gives you control over that story again. If you want this look, here's exactly what to tell your stylist. I'd like side-swept bangs that start shorter on one side and blend into long face-framing layers. please keep them soft, not blunt. A quick trim every few weeks is all it takes to keep this looking sharp and deliberate. But if you thought that cut had the most dramatic lifting power on this list, wait until you see the one coming next, because it might just be the single most transformative haircut in this entire video. The sixth haircut on our list is the one I've been teasing since the very beginning, and it's the feathered crown with tapered nape. Here's why this cut earns that kind of buildup. Most haircuts lift your face from one angle, maybe softening the jaw or brightening the eyes, but this one is different because it concentrates volume precisely at the crown, the single spot with the most power to lift your entire face at once. The top layers stand up and slightly away from the scalp, and I like to call this the crown effect, because the height it creates doesn't just add volume, it visibly lifts your brows, opens your eyes, and elongates your whole face from every single angle, whether someone's looking at you straight on, from the side, or watching you walk away. The sides stay close to the head with soft, feathered edges, and the nape is tapered cleanly, removing the bulk that quietly weighs the back of your silhouette down and makes your profile look heavier than it is. This is precision work, so it does require a stylist who genuinely understands internal layering. Not every salon chair will deliver it, but when it's done right, the payoff is enormous. If your hair is gray or silver, this cut becomes something else entirely, the textured crown catching light against the tapered nape in a way that reads as deliberate and editorial, not accidental. You're not softening your gray anymore, you're showcasing it like it was always meant to be seen. We've all had haircuts that flattered us from one angle and betrayed us from another. And this is the first cut on this list that refuses to let that happen, because it lifts you no matter where the light is coming from. If you want this look, here's exactly what to tell your stylist. I'd like a feathered crown with internal layering for height, soft feathered sides, and a clean, tapered nape. Ask specifically for someone experienced in precision shortcuts, because this one rewards real skill. Styling takes minutes, a touch of volumizing product at the roots, and a quick blow-dry upward, and the cut does the rest. But we still have one more haircut left, and it might be the most personal, most emotional transformation on this entire list. The seventh and final haircut on our list is the one so many curly-haired women have waited years to finally trust, and it's the curly bob that follows your natural texture. Here's the hesitation, and it's completely understandable. If you have curly or wavy hair, you've probably avoided shorter cuts for one simple fear, that your curls will puff up, turn frizzy, and feel impossible to control the moment the length disappears. And yet, leaving your curls too long creates the opposite problem, dragging your face downward and hiding the very features you actually want people to see. The curly bob solves both at once, cut right at the chin or just slightly below, shaped to follow your curl pattern instead of fighting against it. I like to call this curl harmony, because rather than forcing your texture into a shape it resists, this cut lets your natural curl do exactly what it wants to do: bounce, move, catch light, while still staying beautifully framed around your face. I once spoke with a woman named Denise, 63, who told me she'd avoided bobs her entire adult life, convinced her curls would never behave in something that short. When she finally tried this cut, she said the moment she looked in the mirror, her whole face seemed to light up from the inside, and for the first time in years she smiled at her reflection without hesitating at first. That's the real gift of this haircut. It doesn't ask you to control your curls, it asks you to finally let them lead. We've spent this whole video talking about lifting your face, but this cut lifts something bigger. It lifts how you feel every single time you catch your reflection unexpectedly. If you're ready to try it, here's exactly what to tell your stylist. I'd like a chin-length bob shaped to follow my natural curl pattern, keep it soft and framed around my face without too much volume. Almost no fighting your hair required, just the right shape, letting it finally do what it was always trying to do. And now that you've seen all 7, there's one more thing I need to show you, because the biggest transformation isn't really about the haircut at all. So there you have it, 7 haircuts, each one built to lift your face and finally work with you instead of against you. From the invisible lift of the crown-layered bob to the curly bob that taught us to stop fighting our natural texture, every single one proves the same thing. This was never about chasing youth. It was about walking into a room and finally feeling like yourself again. If this helped you see your hair a little differently today, give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel reach more women just like you. Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss what's coming next. And tell me in the comments, which of these 7 are you bringing to your next appointment? Your answer might be exactly what convinces another woman to finally book hers.